Today, we turn our attention to the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica. 6 months after Hurricane Melissa carved a path of destruction in the island nation, recovery efforts continue, and New Yorkers have been answering the call to help, holding fundraisers to help Jamaicans get back on their feet. Our guests on this Sunday, Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He gives us an update on recovery efforts and explains why he wants world leaders to keep their promise and help small island nations fight climate change. And Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie is also with us, why he led a New York delegation to Jamaica after the storm. That and so much more happening now on In Focus. Let's begin today's conversation with Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie. Mr. Speaker, thanks for your time.
Hey, Cheryl, how are you?
Hey, good to see you. Listen, we're focusing on the island nation of Jamaica, and in our next segment, we'll be joined by Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And I want to specifically talk to you about the delegation that you took to Jamaica in December in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Tell us about that humanitarian mission.
Well, it all started out, remember I was having a conversation with my Chief of Staff, Giovanni Brooks, and we were hearing about how bad Hurricane Melissa could be. I said, if this is as bad as we're hearing, we should probably put it in our minds that we should do something for Jamaica. And I mean, it ended up being worse than we actually thought. And so after we started to see what had happened there in Jamaica, I said to Giovanni, we got to do something over there. I said, let the rescue part of it happen, but I said, and I want to kind of help be part of the the recovery and the cleanup, and try to bring whatever resources that we possibly could, to the island of Jamaica. The district that I represent has the most Jamaicans outside of the country of Jamaica. My Caribbean lineage, I have a little Jamaica mixed in, but what happens on the island of Jamaica is a very big deal in my community.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it was worse than you originally thought. Tell us more about that.
Well, when you get over there, you see the videos.
Yeah.
It's not the same as when you go over there. I mean, we went to some parts of the island, and I went back even recently as a follow-up trip, and just some of the power lines that were down, we were told that it's still going to take them maybe 6 months, maybe somewhere around now they'll start to get electricity on parts of the island. So just the amount of devastation that happened on the western part of the island, it was tough to see. We visited I believe it was Betheltown, which is a town that was hit pretty hard, and they have the zinc roofs, and I think all but 2 buildings that had zinc roofs actually lost their roofs. I mean, people were still having to live in the parts of the house that had a roof, even though say the roof got torn off the living room, they were still living in the other parts of the house. I mean, it was pretty tough to see.
Yeah, and the pictures don't do it justice, I know.
Right.
Your team helped rebuild the YMCA in Montego Bay, is that right? Raised thousands of dollars?
In Savlamar, which is in the western part of the island. Their roof was totally destroyed. So we raised enough money to replace the roof, and we're going to, myself and my assembly colleagues and Congressman Richie Torres, we're going to help refurnish the YMCA and help them get computer software as well.
Yeah, and you helped promote the Jamaica Strong Relief Concert at UBS Arena. Give us a sense of the turnout. It was an incredible opportunity for New Yorkers to raise money for the relief effort.
Right. Big shout out to Irie Jam, Sen and Bobby Clark. They're just 2 amazing people. They love their home country of Jamaica, and they raised around $1 million for relief efforts in Jamaica. It was a great time, a great celebration of the Jamaican culture, and it was Jamaica Strong. hearing the song Jamaica Strong, where it's just a coming together of people wanting to show love and support. So the concert, it was an amazing night. A lot of love for the beautiful island of Jamaica.
Yeah, and lastly, you said you went back recently. There are some people who are still in shelters there.
Yeah.
Did you see any measurable improvement?
Well, we were in a different part of the island. We were kind of more in the northeastern part of the island, and we also spent time in Kingston to do some other relief work. But we will be going back to the most devastated parts of the island later this year, and we're still in constant communication of if we feel like there's something that's needed, that we want to try to be helpful and resourceful.
And Mr. Speaker, you want more New Yorkers to try to help, right? Because there are so many Caribbean New Yorkers who care deeply about what happened to actually all over the Caribbean, not just Jamaica, by Hurricane Melissa.
I would say the best way to help the island of Jamaica, and this comes directly from the Minister of Tourism. The best thing you could do to help Jamaica is to go to Jamaica and spend your money there, go vacation there. Tourism is a major part of Jamaica's economy, and so that's the best way. Like sometimes people think when there's been a hurricane that has devastated the island that you need to stay away. No, the island is still beautiful. Everything is waiting for people to come. So I just say you want to help Jamaica, go vacation in Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaica is still open for business, right?
Yes.
Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, appreciate your time.
Jamaica has demonstrated unwavering leadership in climate action despite our limited resources. We have committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050.
That's His Excellency Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing the United Nations during its 80th session last September. 1 month later, Hurricane Melissa devastated the island nation. Jamaica still rebuilding and still in need of support. Prime Minister, it's an honor to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you. And before we get to the recovery efforts, take us back to October 28th of last year when Hurricane Melissa made landfall. Prime Minister, you have been sounding the alarm, as we've seen at the United Nations and all over the world. And that catastrophic storm was your worst fear imagined.
Well, no one would have expected that a year after being hit by Hurricane Beryl, a Category 3 hurricane, that Jamaica would be hit again, and this time by a Category 5 hurricane, the third strongest storm in the records of hurricane damage. And, we were prepared in that we are in an area where hurricanes do happen. And so we must be prepared. But no one is ever prepared for a Category 5 hurricane.
That's exactly right. And is it accurate that Jamaica sustained about $8 billion in damage?
Initial assessments were $8 billion. The final assessment is that we sustained $12.2 billion in damage.
And give us a sense of the government's plan. I know the slogan is Building Back Better, right? Tell us how it's going with infrastructure, especially many roads that have yet to be repaired.
Well, just to give you a perspective, Hurricane Katrina would have maybe cost the United States probably less than 1% of its GDP. Hurricane Melissa would be close to 50% of Jamaica's GDP in terms of physical damage and economic opportunity lost. So the magnitude of the hurricane and the damage is very significant for a small island developing state like Jamaica. Nevertheless, we were prepared from a financial perspective in that we had buffers in our budget. We had a disaster fund that we saved in. We developed a catastrophe bond, which is a kind of insurance. And we had contingent arrangements with our international financial partners in the event of a hurricane that we would be able to respond. So from The fiscal standpoint, Jamaica was prepared. We have a standing institution in our natural disaster management system and emergency management and response, and we were able to respond in the initial phase. But as I said earlier, a Category 5 hurricane, there is scarcely any country that could withstand that without significant dislocation.
Sure. And give us an update on the recovery efforts.
So
what can you tell us?
We've successfully recovered our utilities. So electricity, water, telecommunications are all back up and functioning. We would say about 99% recovered. In terms of schools and hospitals, all schools are reopened, the hospitals are open, all social services are functioning at very high level. So you could say that normalcy has returned. Where we're having a challenge, obviously, would be the restoration of roofs and houses that would have been damaged. Yeah. That is going not at the pace as we would like, but we're seeing where persons are, from their own resources, restoring their roofs. And from the central government support, we're assisting households in the restoration of their roofs. In terms of infrastructure, we have had challenges with our infrastructure. We have aged infrastructure, and the hurricane would not have done us any favors in that regard. So we do have a plan to totally rehabilitate and redevelop our infrastructure. But in terms of accessibility, the country is entirely accessible. So after the hurricane, all the roads that were closed are reopened. There are a few bridges that are closed, but I would say in terms of accessibility, we're over 90% accessible right across the country.
During your speech, Prime Minister, to the United Nations, you told the world body that the promise of $100 billion annually remains unfulfilled, and that money was supposed to help resiliency efforts, right? What's your message now, considering the wake of the hurricane and its devastation?
For some, the issues of climate change are academic, theoretical, maybe. For countries like Jamaica, the issues of climate change are real. In fact, we're seeing more intense and frequent weather events, particularly hurricanes, in the last 20 years than we would have seen in the 40 years before. And that is because sea level temperatures are rising and hurricanes are becoming more powerful and more destructive. And that more powerful and destructive natural force is very disruptive to economic activity. So weather events have a balance sheet impact. So for us, climate change is real. One weather event could cost us 50% of our GDP. And this is something that the entire world should be focused on. The notion of raising $100 billion to fight climate change is something that should still weigh heavily on the conscience of the world. And we still call for that, we still endorse that. In today's world, however, the issue now is about building resilience, the strength of countries to respond to these kinds of shocks and to prepare for them. And I think Jamaica is an example of how countries can build resilience into their economy.
Yeah, and lastly, here in New York, there have been a number of fundraisers, all for the love of Jamaica. You've heard about the UBS Arena. Yes. So many thousands got together and raised millions of dollars. What's your response to Jamaicans who live here in New York City that have been so concerned and have been raising money and they're not getting word of what's happening?
Well, first of all, let me say how grateful we are in Jamaica to our diaspora and to our friends who continue to support. Now, the people-to-people assistance has been very helpful, very effective. So Jamaicans here and persons here who have friends and family in Jamaica, and they coordinate visits, which I think it's the most effective way. We want you to come and visit and carry the support with you when you're visiting. I think that has been very effective. In terms of contributions to the various funds that the government has oversight of, we have been very cautious and to ensure accountability. So whatever is given to the government to be spent is being spent on tangible, measurable things that will have a long-lasting impact. So contributions that have been given have been used directly in the rebuilding and restoration of roofs, because that is measurable, it's tangible, and it's accounted for. So we give the assurance to all Jamaicans and everyone who gives that whatever you give, it is well accounted for.
Okay, and lastly, I just want to say congratulations. You are in New York City to receive a major award from the Foundation for the University of the West Indies.
Yes.
And we're so proud that you could stop by In Focus and share these thoughts on the 6-month anniversary of Hurricane Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Prime Minister, appreciate you. Time for another break. In Focus continues right after this. And now, a flashback from our New York One archives. October 28, 2025, 6 months ago, Hurricane Melissa makes history as the strongest storm to ever hit Jamaica. Melissa made landfall as a Category 5 storm with sustained winds about 185 miles per hour, carving a path of destruction across the island. Residents braved hours of heavy rain and strong winds, which caused catastrophic flooding.
Melissa dealt a severe blow to our national road network and public infrastructure. The National Works Agency reports that 151 roads were impacted island-wide, with landslides, fallen trees, flooded corridors, covered pavements, and breakaways, rendering many communities temporarily inaccessible.
About 500,000 Jamaicans live in the 5 boroughs, according to city data. Many were worried sick about loved ones forced to ride out the powerful tropical cyclone.
The people, the 9 or 8 out of 10, will rather stay there to protect whatever they can than to walk away. That's the spirit of the Jamaicans, and that is a dangerous part. We'll always ask the people, please leave. Please, that's the last thing for them to do.
The violent hurricane claimed about 45 lives in Jamaica and caused billions of dollars in damage. Scientists say that storm was fueled by climate change, evidenced by unusually warm ocean temperatures. By the way, there'll never be another hurricane named Melissa. The World Meteorological Organization retired that name, replacing it with Molly. Thanks for staying with us. We're pleased to welcome back to In Focus Anne-Marie Grant, Executive Director for the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies. Anne-Marie, great to have you back here.
Thank you so much. So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to see you. Thank you for facilitating the interview with the Prime Minister of Jamaica. It was an honor to have him here, and he's one of your honorees.
We are excited to have the Prime Minister because he's also a University of the West Indies alum. So we're pleased that he's receiving the Legacy Award, which is reserved exclusively for heads of state and heads of nation.
That's amazing. And let's talk about your foundation, because you have been doing this for a long time. And tell us about the strategic vision, especially in the wake of the hurricane which devastated Jamaica.
For us in the Caribbean, climate change is an existential threat. And so Hurricane Melissa destroyed more than 50% of the gross domestic product of our small island nation of Jamaica. In order to rebuild bigger, better, stronger, and resilience, we have to ensure that we have an educated cadre of persons to participate in this. And so investing in education, especially in terms of tertiary, that is at the University of the West Indies, is going to be so key in this process as we build back. And so one of the things that the foundation does is to fund scholarships for young, talented, and ambitious students who cannot afford to go to the University of the West Indies. Right. But because now more than ever, higher education is so important, we try to fill in that gap.
Yes, and you've been doing these scholarships for so many years, Anne-Marie. So what impact does this scholarship have on students, especially as you can look back now at so many students who've benefited?
Great question. It's more than providing the tuition cost. It benefits the family from which the students come. It benefits the community from which the students come and their families. And it also benefits the countries from which they come and by extension the region. And so education, it's not only for today, it certainly is a benefit that goes for generations to come. Yeah. So what it does, it helps to break the cycle of generational poverty amongst those of us, amongst those in our population that is financially challenged.
And what are you most proud of, Anne-Marie? You've been doing, how many years have you been doing this?
Oh, gee, that's dating a girl, Cheryl. That's dating a girl. What I'm most proud of is the impacts that I have seen that education has had, not only at the personal level, but at the societal level. And I've seen individuals who have participated in the program, having been funded by the university. I've seen them grow and blossom. And more importantly for me, I think because I've seen them reach back and help somebody else and fund another scholarship, tutor a student who is struggling, help a family, for me, that is what's important.
That's a win-win because so many alum reach back and they attend the gala and they show support and love.
That's what's most important.
That's what's most
building community and strengthening our society.
Never forgetting the bridge that brought you over.
Never forgetting the bridge that brought you.
Anne-Marie Grant with the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies. Congratulations on everything and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
And now, our final focus. We want to share a highlight from the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies main event. The Legacy Continues Gala in Manhattan honored Caribbean leaders, including our very own Camille Joseph Goldman. She's Group Vice President of Government Affairs for our parent company, Charter Communications.
But I was able to do public service. I was able to thrive, both working for elected officials and in my own right because of my heritage and my culture. We talked about being big on education as Jamaicans, but I have to say, being resilient is a huge part of that. Being entrepreneurial is a huge part of that. And in every stage of my career, many Jamaicans have helped me.
Camille, the proud daughter of Caribbean parents, grew up in the Bronx and has been breaking down barriers and opening doors for the next generation of leaders. Congrats to Camille on this well-deserved honor. Thanks so much for watching In Focus. I'm Cheryl Wills. We appreciate you spending your Sunday with us. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. To keep up with important issues impacting our communities and hear more conversations with the people who are shaping the future, subscribe to our channel. You can also download our app or find Spectrum News on your TV for balanced, in-depth political coverage and more.